All right, let's get into it. Have you ever wondered what's really going on inside your head? You know, the hidden forces that shape who you are, the deep currents that guide what you do. Well, today we're diving headfirst into the psychodynamic approach, an idea that completely changed how we think about the human mind.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you really in charge of all your decisions? Or could there be something deeper, something you're not even aware of, that's kind of pulling the strings? It's a big question, so just keep it in the back of your mind as we go. To even start thinking about that, we've got to explore the foundational idea of this whole approach, the mind's hidden depths. So what is the psychodynamic approach, really? Well, at its core, it's all about what's happening underneath the surface. It's the idea that our behaviors, our feelings, and even our biggest dreams are powerfully shaped by things we're not consciously aware of. Unconscious motives in our earliest life experiences. It's basically the psychology of the unseen. The guy who started it all, Sigmund Freud, he worked off this core belief called psychic determinism. It's a wild idea when you think about it. It basically means that nothing we do is an accident. That weird dream you had, that name you forgot, that Freudian slip, according to this principle, it all has a cause, and that cause is buried deep inside your mind. And the best way to picture this, probably the most famous analogy in all of psychology, is the iceberg. The part we see, the stuff we're actually aware of, that's just the tiny tip sticking out of the water. The real action, the vast, powerful majority of our mind, is hidden deep down below the surface. Freud actually broke this down into 3 distinct levels. First, you've got your conscious mind. That's everything you're thinking about right this very second. Easy enough. Then there's the preconscious. Think of it like your mind's waiting room. It's stuff you aren't thinking about now, but you could easily pull it up, like what you had for breakfast. But, and this is the big one, you have the unconscious. This is the deep, dark, hidden part of the iceberg. It's this huge collection of our secret fears, our deepest desires, and all the stuff we've pushed away that secretly drives so much of what we do. Okay, so if our mind is like this giant, mostly hidden iceberg, how did Freud think our personality was actually, built? Let's take a look at his map of personality.
He said it's like there's this constant battle going on inside you between 3 parts. First up, you've got the id. This is your totally primal, impulsive side. It works on the pleasure principle. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now. Then, on the complete opposite side, you've got the superego. This is your moral conscience, the part of you that soaked up all the rules from your parents and society. It's the angel on your shoulder saying, that's not right. And who's stuck in the middle, trying to play referee? That's the ego. Its job is to find a realistic compromise between the id's wild demands and the superego's rigid rules. It's a tough gig.
Freud also had this, let's say, influential idea that our personality develops through a series of stages in childhood, each focused on a different area of pleasure. He believed that if you had unresolved conflicts during a stage, you could get fixated, and that fixation would show up in your adult personality. For instance, someone fixated at the oral stage might be prone to chewing their nails or overeating.
So, if all this important stuff is buried in the unconscious, how in the world do we get a peek at it? Well, for Freud, the answer was dreams. He called them the royal road to the unconscious. He said every dream has 2 parts. There's the manifest content, which is just the story of the dream. You were flying over a city made of cheese. But the really important part is the latent content. That's the hidden, symbolic meaning of the dream, the part that reveals your true unconscious wishes and fears.
Now, as you can imagine, this constant battle inside our heads, it can create a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So how do our minds keep from just falling apart? Well, we have these unconscious shields.
From this point of view, anxiety isn't just about worrying over a test or a big meeting. It's actually a specific alarm bell. It's a signal that your ego is starting to lose control of that fight between the id and the superego. When that conflict gets too hot to handle, anxiety starts to bubble up.
And to handle that anxiety, the ego develops these clever, unconscious tricks called defense mechanisms. They're like our mind's personal bodyguards. You've got repression, which is where your mind literally pushes a painful memory so deep into your unconscious you can't even find it. Or projection, where you take feelings you don't like about yourself and blame someone else for having them. And then there's sublimation, which Freud thought was the healthiest one. That's when you take a negative impulse, like aggression, and channel it into something positive, like becoming a champion boxer.
Now, Freud's ideas were absolutely groundbreaking, but they weren't the end of the story, not by a long shot. A lot of his students and followers, sometimes called neo-Freudians, started to think, maybe there's more to it, and they began forging their own new paths.
Take Carl Jung, for example. He agreed with a lot of Freud's ideas, but he had this massive addition. He said, okay, we have a personal unconscious with our own hidden memories, but what if there's also a collective unconscious? This was his big idea, a shared inherited pool of memories and symbols from all of human history. And within that, we find archetypes, universal symbols like the hero, the mother, or the shadow, which is why the same kinds of stories and characters pop up in myths all around the world.
Then you have Alfred Adler, who went in a totally different direction. For Adler, the main thing driving us wasn't some hidden sexual conflict. No, it was our struggle to overcome feeling, well, small and inferior, feelings we all have as kids. He also put a huge emphasis on social interest, arguing that a huge part of being a healthy person is caring about others and feeling connected to society.
And when you put these three heavyweights side by side, you can really see just how different their views were. For Freud, the key driver is all about those unconscious drives. For Jung, it's a more spiritual goal of integrating all the parts of yourself. And for Adler, it's all about overcoming inferiority and our place in society. They had fundamentally different takes on what makes us tick.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? The really crucial point is that whether you agree with every single detail or not, the psychodynamic approach completely changed the game. It threw open the door to seeing the human mind as this deep, complex, and often hidden world. It made us realize that to truly understand ourselves, we have to be willing to look beneath the surface.
Which brings us right back to where we started. After all this, I'll ask you again. What hidden parts of your mind might be shaping your world today? It's definitely something to think about.